So is Jerome Powell going to come out and save us again like he did last time? You remember he rescued us last time when we were really feeling under pressure. Is this going to happen for us now, today or tonight? For some of you guys, we've had BTC lose a massive range low, and it was a big level that we thought, a lot of us thought we were going to get a bounce from. Now we're pushing 56K, 57K. People are sweating over here. So we've got a lot to talk about here. I'm going to take you through a few reasons why I think we could get a nice little bounce in the next few hours. Is it a short-term bounce? Potentially, but it might just be the bounce that we need maybe to exit some of our positions. Then we're looking at a lot of altcoins. I'm going to give you some updates. I'm going to show you some levels that you guys can be watching over the next few hours during this FOMC, and maybe we can take advantage of some of the volatility. So we got a lot to talk about here today, guys. Let's get right into it. Now, we always start the show with Banter Bubbles. I always pull it up, but maybe some of you don't know the advantages of Banter Bubbles and what you guys can actually get out of it. It's not just a little bubble chart that shows you what is up and what is down. There's so many things you can do here. You can create your own watch list. You can create your own pairs that you can pay attention to. And then most importantly, for those of you wondering where we get a lot of our alpha from, we've got a little newsroom here on Banter Bubbles that you can have access to. You just need to sign up to Banter Bubbles. So jump into Banter Bubbles, take a look. Here's the Crypto Banter live newsroom feed, and you can see we've got alpha coming in here all day long, and from some of the best researchers in crypto floating around. So don't forget, use this as a tool for yourselves to take advantage and get yourselves an edge in the market. And then obviously on top of that, you can also farm GUMMY as long as you are on Banter Bubbles. You can see my little GUMMY ticker here at the top. We're busy farming along here. You can see this thing slowly starting to move higher. So I'm busy farming GUMMY here. And remember, there's a couple of ways that you guys can farm GUMMY. And one of the latest ways that you can take advantage of GUMMY is to go into the link in the description here under the show. And you can see there's a little link here. It says GUMMY, 5 easy ways to get up to $30 million airdrop in GUMMY tokens. Okay, number one, sign up for Whale Schools. Carl Dupes is launching Whale School. It's just around the corner. The latest cohort is about to start. So sign up for Whale School, number one, or number 2, 3, 4, and 5. Use any of these accounts, any of these exchanges here, put $100 in, and then you can start farming GUMMY in your own way. So take advantage of these things and make sure you are using crypto bubbles. Now you know, or Banter Bubbles for that matter. Okay, what am I looking at now? So we can see we've had a nice bounce on some of these tokens in the last couple of hours. We noticed dominance dropping and sending lower. So that was helping a lot of these alts while BTC was actually printing new lows. Some of these altcoins were holding some very good areas. So I'm going to jump to this Bitcoin chart. And before I get to the exact levels that I'm going to be watching today, I just want to show you guys my first reason as to why I think we've got an imminent reversal here around the corner. How big is it going to be? Well, that's going to be difficult to say. But the facts in front of us are telling us that we potentially have some kind of bounce play coming in here. Maybe it's a dead cat bounce. Maybe it's just a relief bounce to get us out of a bit of a spot if you guys are feeling under pressure. So the first thing I wanted to show you here was the RSI. Now I'm using the regular RSI at the bottom for this chart, and I'm using the 4-hour chart. And it's just very interesting to me. The last 3 times this 4-hour RSI has bottomed out, and I'm talking about levels where it's sitting right now. And we've seen some major bounces in Bitcoin. So time number one here, this was in March 19th, we had a 12% bounce in BTC. Then we came early April, we had another 12% bounce here when this RSI had bottomed out. So that was a good sign. Then we had another one, 14th of April. What did the RSI do? It bottomed out. Then after that, we had a roughly 12% bounce in BTC. Is this time different? Maybe. Are we going to get a bounce? Maybe. But, you know, if we look at history and we see what happens whenever this RSI, this 4-hour RSI reaches these lows, we tend to get a bounce. So what does that mean for us in BTC? Let's assume they flush us out a little bit lower here and they just try and take out some stops here before they send it up. If we go up 12%, it's going to take us directly into our existing downtrend that we have been watching for the last 2 or 3 weeks now. So there could be a move on the cards here. And I would say the biggest upside play here is possibly 11 to 12%, depending on how this FOMC goes later with Jerome Powell. We need to see, because we know it's not just about the rates. I think everybody expects these rates are going to be unchanged, but the real secret sauce is what is going to be happening afterwards and what he's going to say. Like, how dovish or how hawkish is this man going to be, considering the current state of the market? So what you can do here is you can go into Forex Factory and just open that. This is a nice little tool that you can use, and you can see the FOMC statement is coming out later here at 8 p.m. This is my time. You can see what they've done here. The previous rates was 5.5. The forecast is 5.5. And now if you watch Forex Factory, they actually give you a nice little countdown timer. And then they come and they ping it and it comes out. And then you can get your charts open and watch all the excitement, especially on the 5-minute candles. Things can get a little bit spicy. But the real secret is going to be this press conference later, where they are going to be grilling him and asking him questions. And the market is probably going to be hanging onto every word that this man says. And you're going to see responses up and down while he is talking over that 30-minute or so press conference that he has. So look out for that. We've got big volatility coming today. And this tweet from Hdman, I mean, he basically sums up the current situation here. He says GDP growth at 1.6% in Q1. Meanwhile, CPI, PPI, PCE are all running hot. And now this FOMC is going to be fun to watch, he says. And I quite like this little comment here underneath saying, true to the rescue, says this is a soft landing to the Fed. nice little soft landing there for everybody. Okay, then something else interesting that could indicate maybe the markets are going to give us some kind of relief rally here. We can see that oil is potentially now turning over. And what does that mean? If we have high oil, we obviously it helps inflation. If we have oil turning over, maybe on the inflation situation. So that is an interesting thing to consider. Then liquidation heat map. This is always fun. And last night they came and they really did some damage there. And I think a lot of guys got hurt. You guys might have seen some of the liquidation stats that I put on my Twitter account. And you know, there was some pain in the last 24 hours. There were levels hit that a lot of people weren't expecting that we're going to get hit. So if we look at the current liquidation heat map, well, this is just the liquidation map on Binance. We can see this is a 1 day, and there's up to $1 billion worth of liquidations for the shorters. If we send this price up to $63,000. So that is interesting. And lower down, all the exchanges combined, this is the 1 day BTC exchange liquidation map. We've got up to 3 billion in shorts liquidations that can happen if BTC gets pushed up to $63,000. So things could get very spicy tonight. Things could get very interesting with the current situation. Okay, this was also a nice little interesting one for us. This is a nice little tool from CoinGlass. It's the crypto market RSI heat map. This is nice to kind of get a feel for where we are in the overall market. And this shows you the RSIs on the 4 hour on a lot of these charts. And you can see many of them are now moving into oversold territory. So what does that tell us? That tells us there's potentially some kind of reversal building now in the near term. And what could the near term be on a 4 hour stock or a 4 hour RSI? You know, that could be a day or two potentially. So what it is telling us, though, it is telling us things are very oversold. And we could start looking to move a little bit higher here. And this was great. I posted this one on Twitter here. Follow me on Twitter at the Lord of Entry. And I dropped this earlier today because yesterday it was very notable. We weren't scared yet. We were only at about 64 on the fear and greed index scale. So now, after last night, we've had a nice push down. We're sitting at 54. And I've asked the question, are you guys scared yet? So, you know, let us know. And then I'm also running a poll currently in the chat here. Let's just go to the poll here. Fill in this poll for me. I said, is Jerome Powell going to save us from ourselves? Okay, I see 56%. We've got bears in the house here, Ray. 56% are super bearish and 44% are saying he's going to pump the market. So look, my current perspective or my view is we might get some short-term relief bounce, and I'm going to show you some more charted shortly and explain to you where I think we could get these moves. So that is my stance at the moment. That is what I am actually looking for. So I'm short-term bullish here for a little bounce around the corner. Okay, and Ben Cowan, I mean, we got to give this man credit. I know people harp on about him being the biggest bear, but at the end of the day, he's right so often. And he pulled out this trend line not too long ago, and we were looking at it, and he was basically saying, look out here or a big bounce in USDT dominance, and he threw the trend at us, and everyone was like, maybe this time is different, whatever. And bang, this thing is pumped, and he gets another feather in his cap. He's nailed it again, this USDT. So it was expected. Let's give the man credit. He does get it right a lot of the time. Here's an interesting post for you guys as well. I just thought this was relatively funny. But the CRG, okay, read the post here yourself. It's a hell of a long read, but basically he's telling you guys to harden up. Okay, he says, be tough. Look at the last paragraph here. He's like, grab your balls, lay them on the table, reach for glory. Otherwise, you shouldn't really be trading. So if you guys are looking, for low risk things and, things that are relaxing, then he's saying, go and, what does he say? He says, put your tail between your legs. We'll call it a tail. And he says, go and buy bonds with the other macro 𝗨𝗠𝗠𝗬 that have been wrong for years. Okay, he says the choice is yours, bros. And so, look, interesting perspective for sure from this guy. And then one more thing, I really enjoy following Rec Capital. They give you quite a nice sort of balanced perspective on what is happening. And you, if you've been watching, you would have tracked me pulling out these Rec Capital charts for the last while. And I was quite enjoying. He pulled this tweet up. When was this? About 5 days ago. He made some interesting comments about us entering a danger zone. He was basically flagging that we were going to be potentially in a little pain. And one of his comments here was this downside in the middle here. He says the downside saw a price drop into range lows and it produced an 11% downside wick from the range lows. Now we've just had a nice wick low. We've had probably about a 10 or 11% move from our lows where we were yesterday. So very interesting. He must have a crystal ball. This guy's calling it so well. And then he's given us another comment saying, if you just read in the center here, he says, based on retraces in the cycle, the deepest one was 23% deep and the longest one was 63 days long. Now, right now, we are sitting at a roughly 24% retracement in this current cycle now. So we've matched that one. And he was saying the 63 days is potentially another 2 weeks away. So we are around the corner, according to Rec Capital, from some kind of bounce here or some kind of reversal in the current situation. So pay attention to that. Then last comment here on the BTF, the ETF flows. And we've noticed that the flow numbers have been 0 or negative now daily. So that is obviously playing its part in the current situation in the market. When things were super bullish and everything was pumping, we saw regular inflows into these ETFs. So things have definitely slowed down here for these guys. So definitely something to watch. When this starts picking up again, then I would expect sentiment to also start changing. Okay, before we get into Bitcoin, I just wanted to pull up this Amazon chart, and it actually opened up today after great earnings yesterday. So last night it was gapping up on pre-market. I think at one point they were looking at about 182. They were looking at a potential price here for Amazon, but now I see that it is starting to slowly again fall over now and drift a little bit lower. But they had good earnings, and the sentiment, we were hoping that was going to push the S&P a little bit higher. And as far as the S&P goes, well, here we are. This is our S&P daily chart. A bit of a slow burner to watch at the moment, but this is key to the current situation as a whole, and it's definitely going to be key to Bitcoin and crypto while we watch these current macro conditions. So S&P also in a downtrend at the moment. No changes here for me on the S&P. 4.8 is where it's at for me. If Joe Powell comes out tonight and pumps the market, look out for a rejection for the S&P a little bit higher up. Look out for this rejection around about the 50-day MA, and then I would assume that we're going to run out of steam, and he's going to send us potentially a little bit lower. Okay, let's get into. I got some more. I got some more juice for you guys. So another one of these factors in the market is the Dixie. Now, you guys know I was pulling up the Dixie last week while we were tracking it. We were seeing it pump, and we were noticing the weakness in the S&P. And we did have a bull flag forming here on the Dixie. And you can see what they've done here. The Dixie has actually stuck its head out now in anticipation of this current FOMC situation. So where can the Dixie go now that it's breaking out of this flag? Is there more pressure perhaps on the S&P, and is that going to translate into the crypto market? So for me, the Dixie can push this 107 region. It is on the cards for us if they want to blow this flag out. We could easily see something along the lines like that on the Dixie. So Forex traders, keep an eye on that one. We could see a little bit more upside on the Dixie. And you remember, any relief down, any push down on this Dixie chart, we're looking at massive support here. So make a note to yourselves, mental note now. If this Dixie does start falling over and you start feeling euphoric and your trades are all playing out so nicely, look out when the Dixie gets to 104. Look out for a big bounce in that region. That could definitely spoil the party for guys that are coming in late into things like that. So that is what I'm looking at closely there on the Dixie. Let's go BTC levels here. So where are we sitting now? And let's just break down what exactly happened last night, because some of the things we were actually calling yesterday came or played out quite nicely. And if we really look in hindsight at what has actually happened here on the charts, we had Bitcoin dipping last night into a nice little mini range low here. And we had the 100-day moving average. We had a lot of things telling us that we were going to get a bounce in this region somewhere around the 58, 59K region. And what did they do? They actually front ran that slightly. They gave us 59,100, give or take here. And they actually did give us a nice little pump. So there was a nice little relief rally last night, roughly. Let's just look at the size. Roughly 3.2%. So that's nothing to really be laughed at. That's a nice little bounce on BTC. And in typical fashion here, what did they do? They rejected us at a nice resistance zone. So 61K became now a nice marker as a resistance band for BTC that we've got to be paying attention to. So what am I looking at now? What is my plan for today? Well, number one, I'm watching this current area very closely. Let's actually push this into a 2-hour. And we are looking at the current lows being tested one more time. Do I have a little bit of a level lower down? Yes, I do. I'm looking at this 56,250 now. This is really, I wouldn't say it's our last chance saloon, but I'd like to see, worst case, a little push into this region. Just grab some of the late stops that are sitting here from earlier today. Maybe a little push down into this region here, and then a little bounce off this, provided obviously Jerome Powell is behaving himself. He needs to be good. He needs to be good to us tonight. So 56,200, watch that area down to about 56K. Could get very interesting in the next couple of hours. And then if we're going to start zooming out, I just want to show you the bigger picture again. We've got a couple of levels lower down that we now need to start watching, that it's becoming a reality for us now that we need to start paying attention to. And I've put 3 together for you. Number one, that I'm watching is the top of this mini range that you can see over here from the 15th of Feb where it started. That's the top of that mini range. So if we start bleeding out, expect a reaction in this region. Expect something to happen here, even a little bit of consolidation. Where do they go after that? Well, we'll have to wait and see what the plan is. But 52,800 to 53, watch that level closely. Okay, the next level is a weekly level. We got a cluster of weekly candles floating around in that area from the previous run. That's 51,800. Mark that one on your charts. That could also offer you some kind of reaction. And then these range lows from that same range from early February, middle February 2024. That's your range low here, pushing around about 50,500. So these are all key levels for me. If we start getting some big bleed out now in the next few hours and they really want to send us lower, those are the areas I'm watching very closely. And then one last level that you guys really need to pay attention to, the 200-day moving average. We know these crypto tokens and Bitcoin, they love to kiss the 200-day MA. They love to come and visit that. And we've seen many altcoins already front running this. Some of it, in fact, actually lost the 200-day MA. So a massive marker for us here, round about 49,000. So call it 49,100 is where the 200-day moving average is sitting currently. These are the big levels that you're watching. These are the big levels that I'm watching. And obviously, if we're going to see these areas, we're going to be under pressure. These alts are going to be sweating. So make sure that you are shorting or looking to TP on any nice bounces that you get over the next few hours, over the next few days. Any pumps here, we are looking to take profit. We are looking to potentially short, and I'm going to give you some short ideas that you guys can play around with as well. I see Michael likes the fair value gap at 51 to 52. So that is a nice juicy level there. That plays in perfectly to this little zone that you can see that we've got going on here. So that could be nice. And Michael Vito says Dave Digital is on the money. Ray, can you bring up his comment here? Let's see what his comment was. Have we got it there? Money Prince says, hold gummy. Let's see who else is here. Did you find that comment, Ray?
I'm looking for it. I'm looking.
Ray's hunting. Cameron is convinced that 52K is coming. Wanton Wizard says Dot is front running it. Yes, Dot's probably lost that 200-day MA, if that's what you're referring to. We need to take a look at it. Let's see. Nico says Altcoin summer is coming. And let's see. Dave Digital says, still, I'm hidden on the main channel. Free Dave. Guys, don't forget, there's a FOMC stream later tonight on the main channel with Run. And I'm going to be there. Sheldon's probably going to be there as well. So we're going to watch this thing live. If there's any action, I can assure you we're going to be getting involved in it. So make sure you tune in later as well for the live FOMC. So that's going to be in about 2 hours time. We're going to be live on the main channel. So watch that. I see Peter Post says he's got more Gummy. Look, Gummy dropped into a nice little zone. For those of you that are interested, here's Gummy. And it's dropped into our little range low. So watch this at the moment. Gummy 0.087 is your range low support that you want to pay attention to. Nice little buy area there. If you're buying these range lows and you're buying support, that's a good little area there for the Gummy traders. So yeah, nothing wrong with that. If you're getting more Gummy, that's a good zone. Okay, what else? What else is going on here? James says something critical. We're fucked. Sell everything. Guys, just never
Keep
panic.
it calm. Keep it calm.
I'm gonna give him the cat. Okay, take the cat. Take the cat for being scared. Okay, let's see. What else? Okay, you guys are going on in the chats. Okay, keep it coming. Let's move on to some more juice for you guys. I've got some spice for you guys. Let's just pull up some Bitcoin charts here. I want to get my big picture. Okay, here it is. Now, it's a sorry looking state of affairs, isn't it? But we can't say we didn't know that this is potentially going to happen. We've been looking at this big downtrend on the 2-day now. It's probably 2 weeks we've been watching this current situation. So what is my game plan here? What does a downtrend typically look like? Well, a downtrend, obviously you can see what's going on here. They sell it, they pump it, they sell it, they pump it, they sell it, they pump it. So that's basically what we're looking at. And that is why I keep saying to you that any pumps here are for selling, any pumps here are for exiting, and any pumps are for maybe rejigging and reorganizing your life. If you're trying to sell now, at this current situation, look, we might get another flush out. We might get another 10 or 15% before there's a bounce. But I can assure you, we are getting very close to a situation where they either flush us and then they bounce us 10 or 15%, or they just start reversing it, in the next couple of hours. So I would just be very cautious now. If you weren't exiting higher up, I would be very cautious on these supports, especially spot traders. If you look at the information in front of you, that 4-hour RSI, that 8-hour RSI, they're all resetting. There's information in front of you that tells you that we might get some kind of bounce here at some point. And again, it doesn't have to be the moonshot, and we don't have to call the bottom of the market. But what we can do is say, if we get a bounce, we want to look to exit corresponding alts. We want to look to exit BTC at these type of levels. And the first area that you can see on this chart that I'm looking at is roughly 60,000 as your first sort of resistance area there on Bitcoin that you're going to be tackling if we do get some kind of bounce later today or in the next 24 hours. So just understand we're in a downtrend, and until we are out of this downtrend, we need to just really look to sell these pumps. And the bears, if you are keen, I'm going to give you some nice little resistance zones where you can look for these shorts and things like that as well. So resistance area, obviously, number one. Let's just bang into Bitcoin quickly. And I'll just show you the current situation where you can potentially look to exit, or where you could potentially look for short setups here on Bitcoin if we do get a pump now later today. And number one, you can see we are now floating around the support region. Where would I look potentially for a higher conviction type short? Well, you can see this was our massive range low that we were playing at. This was our 100-day moving average and these horizontals here. So somewhere around 59,000 to 59,500 for me could be a potential short zone for Bitcoin if we do get a press into this region. So watch that guy, watch that region. Could look something along these lines. You probably want to leave about a 1% stop there, and then this could be the move that takes you much lower to those 50s, that mid 51, 52, that sort of region. Then your next big area here, another big resistance area of interest here, 61K. Okay, that ties in quite well as well. So watch that guy. That would look a little bit like this type of situation there. So probably about a 1.5%, 2% stop you could play around with over there. And then that could be the short that could send you guys lower. So watch these resistance zones. And then most importantly, watch this big descending trend here in play. If we blow through all those other things and we start hanging around this trend, just pay attention there. They've rejected us on this trend twice now. and no reason why they won't reject us again. Remember, if you're in a trend, you can ride that trend and play that trend until it breaks. And we can't tell the future. We just have to ride it accordingly, and eventually it will break. But is this time different? You need to decide that. So for me, sell the trend until it breaks, and if we got a rising trend, you buy that trend until it breaks. Okay, another thing that's been saving you guys. Now, if you're sitting in altcoin positions and you're wondering why you haven't been absolutely rinsed, and I'm talking proper rinsed yet, it's because dominance has come to the rescue. Dominance has come here to save you guys. It's been like an angel coming out of the skies here to rescue all these altcoin traders. So dominance rejected quite nicely yesterday, and it's been on a constant push lower. So right now it is moving into an interesting area. But if you're wondering why your alts weren't destroyed, it's because this dominance has just been pushing lower and lower and lower, while Bitcoin has been printing new lows. So you're probably quite surprised that your alts are sitting up higher than they were a couple of weeks back, and Bitcoin is actually lower. So very notable as to what is going on there. But what I can suggest here is look out for a bounce now on dominance. What does that mean? Well, if dominance starts bouncing now and Bitcoin starts dropping, then you're going to get that rinse out that you were thinking about on those altcoins. You're going to get smashed. If dominance starts pumping here and Bitcoin starts pumping, then I would expect these alts to float around and hold their current areas, and then it shouldn't be that bad. But just take note, we are moving into a potential dominance bounce zone now, and we'll look for a reaction here. If it does start pumping, watch your altcoins, pay attention to your levels. Zindagi says he's shocked his Sol trade hasn't got liquidated yet. Guys, there's been pressure out there, proper pressure. Did you see 𝗚𝗦𝗡 today taking about 11-12% blow during the day? It was one of the worst performers I had on my watch list. So let us know what is happening with 𝗚𝗚𝗡 in particular. Why are they picking on it? And we need to know. We need to know why 𝗚𝗚𝗡 was getting smashed there. Let's see. Ibrahim says he's so excited here because he's got 80% cash. Look, that is a lovely position to be in. And, these are the type of areas that you want to be DCAing. These are the type of areas you want to start sniffing around and playing around, especially if you are buying spot and you're looking for long-term plays. Now, remember, if we are long-term bullish on the market as a whole, then you want to start buying these alts in nice juicy areas. And I can tell you what, they're busy moving into juicy areas number one here. So that would be your first area that you want to look at. Let's see what else. Ashish says he's 50%. He's 50% out in cash. That's also a nice little situation to find yourself in. Okay, let's see. Let's go into the next one. I've got ETH BTC. Now, those of you that have been following me, and I don't want to come across as an ETH bro, but I do talk about this a lot. And this ETH BTC has responded really nicely here on the weekly for us, and that has also been helping some of the altcoin situations. So you can see what happened last weekend. We had ETH BTC lose a big weekly level, and it was a fake out potentially. They sent it higher, and I was saying earlier this week we were just looking for the 0.049 level to hold as a retest, and so far so good. It's held nicely, and we've had a nice little bounce here on ETH BTC. What does that mean? It means ETH is now showing strength versus Bitcoin, where before they were just sending us lower and putting pressure on ETH, pressure on the altcoins, and Bitcoin was outperforming. This is now telling us that ETH is now outperforming BTC, and we've got similar looks on some of the other tokens that I've brought to show you today. So I'm going to show you those shortly, and let's just take a look at the current ETH chart and just see what they did to us. So they hit our 2,800 level that I was looking at. I think yesterday we were looking at this 2,800 level, and they came for us in the dead of the night, and they sent it down and they pinged this 2,800 level again. So is that the bottom? Look, potentially we've got ETH BTC showing strength. We've got a major trend here in play. We've got potential reversals coming on the RSI. So there are signs that are telling us that might have been the bottom of this particular move. If we zoom out, we can see a nice little rising trend in play as well. And you can see this is a major trend for ETH that I've pulled from October 23. So if we start losing this major trend for ETH, then things are really getting ugly out there. So right now, why did I like this area 2.8? We've got the rising trend, we had the horizontals in play as well, and a nice little juicy zone. So as long as ETH BTC is now holding up and showing strength and dominance is behaving, we should see a little bottom here of this move on this ETH situation. And don't forget, if we do get some kind of wild flash out, mark this one on your charts, the 200-day MA, 2,600. Now, wouldn't that be interesting if BTC flushes down to the 200-day MA at 49K, and at the same time, ETH flushes down to 2.6 on the 200-day MA? Wouldn't that trigger something quite interesting, like some kind of mega alt bounce or something along those lines? So just want to throw that out there. Take a look at these 200-day MAs that are coming into play. And Infinity Coin says, hard to make calls in this market. It's difficult to make calls in this market, but we can use the information in front of us, and we can play the levels, and we can not overtrade, or at least try not to overtrade. It gets very tricky out there. And once the trends change and you're looking and things start looking different and looking easier, then we can really start ramping it up. But for right now, you slow down on the leverage, you slow down on the positions, and you just let things play out a little bit and watch your big zones. Glenn says, smash the likes for continuous alpha. Guys, if you're enjoying the content, hit the likes. Okay, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell button, and keep this man happy. Okay, keep him happy. See, he's not even smiling. Okay. Oh, what's the likeage, right?
I'm checking now. 391.
Tough call.
391 in this 2,000 here?
2,000 people watching. No,
we just end the show?
I think we should cut it.
I think we should end the show here.
Guys, I've got magic tricks as well, you know.
Better. No more Dylan.
Guys, if you want to see my magic, okay, hit the likes. If you guys weren't watching yesterday, I've got magic. So if we get the right amount of likes, I'm going to show you guys some magic. I'm going to show you how I can create fireworks. It's really quite something. Okay, Ray, keep us posted. You know, if we're going to give them this magic, they need to pay for it. There's a currency here. Okay, something else interesting. So we've seen ETH versus BTC showing strength. ETH versus BTC bouncing on a nice support. Here's an example for you. Phantom. This is Phantom versus Bitcoin. What is Phantom versus Bitcoin doing? Well, it's been bleeding out against Bitcoin for the last few weeks, and here it is now sitting on major support. What is that telling me? That is telling me we're sitting on a weekly support level. Okay, weekly support levels are pretty much, well, I mean, I don't want to say the strongest, because we know we get monthly and yearly and all these things, but weeklies are the strongest that I like to play with, that I like to use. And we've got a massive weekly support here sitting just above a 200-day moving average. This tells me balance of probabilities that we should get some kind of bounce here. Now, does that signify the bottom of the move? No, not necessarily. But what does it mean? It means we can get some kind of bounce in this region, even if it's a dead cat bounce, before they send it lower. So look out for this. We've got Phantom Bitcoin telling us a story, telling us we might see Phantom outperforming Bitcoin in the near future. We can see it's been performing badly against BTC. Now we are in an area where we could get a bounce, and FTM can start revenge bouncing itself against Bitcoin. So watch this one, and zoomed in perspective, you can see where we are currently. So Phantom playing around these fibs, dancing around these areas. And, you know, if you've been scalping off these fibs, it's been incredibly choppy. So it's been very difficult while we wait for action. But what am I watching now? So I would say first level that you really want to keep your eyes on for today has got to be the 0.60 level. You can see it's a nice 786. We've also got some horizontals in play here for Phantom. So look out for little reactions here at 0.60. Look out for something along these lines for Phantom, perhaps. If we're going to get some kind of bleed out into the FOMC, something like that, that is what I'm watching for. And then areas lower down of interest that you can mark on your charts. Now, remember, if we get extreme volatility over the next few hours, we might hit various areas here that could come into play. So another two that you want to mark on your charts here. Here's a weekly level, 0.56. On Phantom, 0.56. Watch that area over there. And then I've got a much bigger zone here, the 200-day MA. Once again, the 200-day MA is coming into play now. We can see it's close on Bitcoin. It's close on ETH. Is it close on Phantom? These things are all starting to come together here for us. So keep your eyes on this level here, 0.50 for Phantom, if things are really going to get bleedy. And now, if you are in a Phantom position, and let's assume this market bounces. Let's say my little thesis is correct, and Jerome Powell's a little bit dovish, and the market responds nicely and we get a bounce. Where do you look to exit Phantom? Well, the easiest place I can see right now has got to be this horizontal and trend region. So for me, if they do send it down and then we get some kind of big pump here out of the markets, I would say you need to look for exits. If this market is pushing 0.69, that has to be your zone where you want to look to cut, you want to look to raise stops, you want to look to take profit, you want to do all these things. And the bears out there, this is where you're going to be looking for your shorts. These are your good zones that you are looking to return the favor and send it back down. So that is what you're going to be watching. And you can see it ties in really nicely with this little trend that we got going on here. So we're in a clear downtrend here on FTM. You can see it playing out. So any pumps into this horizontal, into this trend, into this region should give you a short opportunity, or at least if you are in position, should give you some kind of take profit, some kind of exit opportunity if you were looking to take a little bit of risk off the table. Ben says, how long to the FOMC? The FOMC is in, I think it's 2 hours from now. Zara says, let's pump our Phantom bags. Look, Phantom's the new Phantoms. They've had a Phantom upgrade. Phantom's cool again. And it was basically an old rusty car, and they've changed the engine now. I think they called it Sonic. And suddenly Phantom is interesting again. I see Miles was also talking about Phantom, showing some interest in the Phantom situation. So Phantom is one to watch definitely, and we saw it was performing quite well. Here's another one bouncing off support, Sol versus Bitcoin. Okay, we've seen Bitcoin's strength against Sol over the last couple of weeks. Look how this thing has been bleeding down. Now we're pushing into a support zone. What happens when you get to major support? We've got a 382, we've got weekly support levels. I've got the 200-day moving average as well. What happens when you move to these zones? Sometimes you get a bounce. Does that mean it's the bottom of the move? Not necessarily, but can we get a bounce? What if we get a bounce along these lines? What does that look like? To me, it tells me we get a nice altcoin bounce, we get a nice Solana bounce. What does that work out to? 10%, 15%? We'll have to wait and see. We'll have to watch these resistance zones. But if we see something like that, that could indicate that we get some kind of bounce. And then wouldn't that be interesting if we get some kind of head and shoulders versus BTC? And that could tee up the bigger move lower down. And that could send us to hell, and Bitcoin at 12K. No, Ray, I'm joking. Guys, we're not buying Bitcoin at 12K. We're not buying. Who's buying Bitcoin at 12K if we go there? Robert says, no bullshit. Buy the bottom. Wait till October. And then he's flashing dollars. Guys, Ray, what's the likage like here, bro?
The likage is at... It's 584. It's still not that impressive. We're over 500, but come on now.
I'll pull up the magic, bro. Crypto Finch says hell is incoming. Now, Crypto Finch, if you look at this current head and shoulders on the Sol BTC chart, that could indicate some downside, but it could also indicate that we get some kind of short-term relief out of the markets. Now, wouldn't that be nice if you are bearish on the current situation to get a nice exit plan, to get a nice push higher? So let's take a look at this at the Sol chart, the Sol USD chart, and just see what's happening. Now, you can see they all have the same look to them. All of these alts, they're in a nice little downtrend that you can see currently playing out, and they're reacting on nice little horizontals and nice little zones of interest. We're getting these bounces. So if we do get some kind of bounce later, where do you look to take profit? Well, area number one, okay, believe it or not, is only at 128, 129. Okay, so that's quite a big zone for Solana. So if we start pushing up, let's say we get a bounce here, and look out for a rejection in that zone. It could potentially start pushing lower. Then we have another option here if things turn bullish, and often if there's a pump, they tend to ignore the first little level of resistance. If there is some kind of pump after these type of sell-offs, what you could see is a situation like this. Sol pushes up, then you can wait for the little pullback here, and you're going to look for some kind of support reaction back on this 128 level. Then we can maybe ride this thing higher to that trend, and that's going to look very similar to that Phantom situation. We've got that downtrend. Remember, that is big resistance now that we need to pay attention to. We cannot ignore it. It's sitting there in front of us. The way Bitcoin's rejected off that trend as well is telling us a story. It's telling us when we push into these trends, we need to be a little bit cautious here. So look out for Sol 137. Look at that for a potential resistance zone as well. So 128, 137, watch those areas there for Sol. Now, what happens if we get volatility over the next couple of hours and they start dumping at first as well, and you're looking for potential buy areas? Well, I can tell you what, there's a hot zone here for Solana, a really hot zone. And once again, the 200-day MA is coming into play here for us, and some horizontals. Look out for Solana. between 100 and 105. I think that's going to be a nice little buy opportunity. Whatever they give us, that could be approximately, let's just check the size of this, that could be another 15% down. That's a flush. That's a proper flush. And remember, these type of flushes can happen very quickly as well in the market. So look out. This is where you want to get your stink bids. This is where you want to have orders sitting, waiting for you, especially if you have cash available and you have a spot account. That is what you're looking for. That is where you want to grab your buy. So look out between 100 and 105. That's a nice little juicy zone for Sol. The 200-day moving average looking good as well. Somewhere in that region should be a nice little buy zone for you if we do drop down in there. Okay, well, okay. Gabriella says, what about near? Let's see what else we got. Sam says, look at Ton. We need to catch up on Ton. JD Bruce says, come on, let's bounce. I agree. When bounce? When move? Let's see. Crypto Finch says, I'm not leaving. I agree. I'm staying right here, guys. Regardless of the condition of the market, I'm going to keep coming to you guys every single day. I'm going to be giving you updates. I'm going to tell you what's going on. I'll probably take Saturdays off if you don't mind. But I'm not going anywhere. This market, they can go straight to hell. We'll be trying to buy Bitcoin here together at 12K. So as long as you love trading, as long as you love crypto, I'm going to be in your face every day looking at these charts for you guys. So I'm not going anywhere. I see Edwin says, AVAX. I do indeed. Have some AVAX for you. Here's AVAX versus Bitcoin. What's happening here? AVAX has bled out over the last couple of weeks. And what have they done? They've pushed now into a weekly horizontal support zone. Here we are hovering around now on a big weekly support. We can see our weekly stochastic as well at the bottom. This is now oversold. You can see what's going on here. We got a little double bottom here on AVAX against Bitcoin. Okay, what is that telling us? It's telling us potential reversal on the table for AVAX versus Bitcoin. Is it time for AVAX to start outperforming Bitcoin? Let's see. And again, exactly the same as the other two charts that we looked at. What do we get? Let's say we get a bounce. Okay, does that mean it's the moonshot? No, not necessarily. You can see what's going on here. We've got a death cross happening right now with the 50-day crossing over the 200-day MA for AVAX versus BTC. So what does that mean to us? That means if we push higher, look for your rejection at the 200-day MA and the 50-day MA. That's probably going to provide quite strong resistance for you guys. And then that will give you your exit opportunity. So if we do get that bounce, grab the AVAX BTC chart, look at that resistance zone, and grab your regular AVAX chart, which I've got here for you, and look at your big areas too. Look at your resistance zones, areas of interest, and these are your reaction zones that you can look for exit. So number one, here's AVAX again, same trend. So you've seen it now on Phantom, you've seen it on Solana. We got this nice trend in play here, and right now we want to look to exit or TP any pumps at these resistance zones. If we break the trend, that's a different story. If we break trends, then things can start turning bullish again. And if we start breaking these trends, we're going to have time. It's not like you're running out of time. If we blow the trend, there's always time where we get some kind of consolidation, some kind of pullback. We can compose ourselves. Then we can really look for some proper setups. But until then, we need to exercise caution and understand that we are in a downtrend in Bitcoin. We are in a downtrend on all these altcoins, and we just need to play it accordingly. So right now, what am I watching for AVAX? Well, you can see what's going on here. AVAX is currently pushing into resistance zone number one. Okay, so here's a potential reaction area for you right now at 33. Okay, so this is resistance number one. How do we play this? Let's say things turn super bullish. What is the plan? Well, if things turn super bullish, we're going to look to try and blow through this resistance area, and then we're going to look for a reaction on the 200-day MA. So you can see we've lost the 200-day MA on AVAX. Again, is this another sign that we are going to get lower on ETH? Are we going to get lower on some of these other tokens pushing the 200-day? Just something to note, something to think about. But look out for AVAX pushing up, rejecting the 200-day. Look for the pullback onto roundabout 33 again. That could be your potential bullish play number one if things start taking off later. So that's bull idea number one. And remember, the bear zone, you looking for rejection zone. So bears, you looking to sell reactions at trend. You're looking to sell reactions at the 200-day MA. You're looking to sell reactions at big horizontal zones. Okay, so look out for those type of areas. What happens if we move a little bit lower down? Well, I do have another level for you. So number one, we've got a rising trend from also a very long time ago. The same way that we pulled the trend on ETH, I've got the similar trend for you on AVAX. You can see what's going on there. And this is now a big zone. So AVAX sitting on trend, ETH sitting on trend against USD. If we do lose it, where's my next zone? AVAX, it's got to be this 28.8. It has to be this region here where we're going to get our next potential reaction on AVAX. So look out for that. And remember, if you are sitting in a short, that could be a nice little TP zone for you as well. 28.8. Look out for that area. So a nice little plan here for AVAX. And then one more thing that's actually interesting and notable. If we do blow through this horizontal here on AVAX, watch this guy here. Okay, if we do blow through that, it could be the start of a little rise back to the range high before we get another rejection on AVAX. So just something to note, something to maybe mark up on your chart, just to remember, keep it in front of you. And if we do reclaim that 32, 33 region, then there's a potential climb up to this range high potential on the table. Okay, little bit of bull sauce there, little bit of bull sauce. Ray, how's our likes? Am I doing my magic tricks yet, bro? I mean, come on. Are we cooking yet? Let's see. Robert Jones says, making money. Everyone hits likes, losing. They won't hit them likes. Not Dylan's fault. What's Robert talking about? What is he saying here? Let's see what else we got. Okay.
700. 704.
700 likes. Guys, are you ready for some magic tricks? Okay. Let's go. Stacks. Okay, this was one I brought up yesterday, and this was just notable for you guys. I wanted you guys to see this thing because we had Bitcoin sitting at 60K, and I was saying yesterday, if Bitcoin loses that 60K, we expect Stacks to lose the 2.2. Stacks was sitting at this 2.2 region over here. It was floating around on trend, and while BTC was holding, Stacks was floating around. Now, Stacks has lost the 2.2 region, and Bitcoin's lost the 60K region. So now we start looking at our next area. When Bitcoin bounces, we are looking for an area of interest for some of these altcoins. So number one here, again, I've got the 200-day MA coming into play one more time. I mean, we haven't seen this much 200-day MA action since October, November last year. We were trading around this 200-day MA non-stop during that bear market. And here we are again. Here's the 200-day MA coming into play for Stacks. So look out, 1.8 for Stacks. That could be a nice little reaction area for us that you might get tonight. You might get this little push. If there is some bearish talk here and then suddenly things turn a little bit dovish, you might get this little push on Stacks into a nice little reaction zone. So your potential long could be 1.8 and then into your resistance band at about 2.2, and then the bears. That could be an area of interest if you're looking for shorts. That is where you're going to look to potentially send Stacks a little bit lower, and it's going to look something along these lines. You're going to get something like that roughly around the 2.2 region, and then you're going to send Stacks potentially a little bit lower. Now, again, that would mean Bitcoin going to roughly, say, 49K, 50K. You might see a situation like that with Stacks roundabout this 1.26 region. Boogie says Doge to the moon. I think, you know, everything will have their chance eventually. Guys, remember, we've been sweating out here for a couple of weeks. It hasn't been an easy ride. So if you're still here, well done, you know, for hanging in there and still being here. Just make sure you have one job and one job only, and that is to make sure you're preserving some capital for when things turn proper bullish again. Make sure you have something available. So don't get yourself in a bit of a tangle here by being long, short, trying to play a game and then getting chopped up. Rather just sit back, watch these levels, watch these areas. You're going to know when the time is right. We're going to tell you. You're going to know between Kyle, Sheldon, me. We're going to be screaming it from the hilltops. Even Uncle Run might stop being bearish, and he could turn bullish again at some point. And when he does, we're all firing on all cylinders. You're going to know exactly when you can push the buttons. Okay, let's go one more. I've got another one here for you, Fetch. This was another little example here. Fetch has moved into quite a nice juicy zone again. Now, is it teeing up for a little bounce? Is it teeing up for a potential reaction here based on some potentially dovish statements tonight on the FOMC? Maybe it goes well, but either way, the chart is telling us a story, and we have Fetch moving into trend and horizontal here on the daily. So definitely notable that it's a nice little level here, 1.88. And let's see, maybe we're going to get a bounce here in this region. Where would I exit? Well, number one, you need to watch your horizontals, you need to watch your big areas, and you can see what's going on higher up here. We've got the 50-day MA, and we've got horizontals in the way, so that's a big reaction zone for me. And then you can play with these slightly lower ones that are going to tie in with trend. You can look at this guy over there, 2.2. So look out if Fetch is going to start pumping here. Look out for this little reaction in the zone. Look out for something along these lines. Bang. And then they're going to send that one a little bit lower. If things turn bullish, you might see something like that. Okay, look out for that area. So your higher zone is going to be 2.5, and the first area for me, 2.2. Both of these are resistance zones. I see. Okay, Eddie says Run has already packed his desk up. Run's actually in Miami at the moment. He's going to be broadcasting later live from Miami. So it's the middle of the day for him at the moment. Let's see. Who else we got? We got ZZ Frenzo asking for Blaze. I'm guessing that has something to do with Ray. What else we got? Michael Vito says balloon animals incoming. Yes, we got magic coming for you guys. We've had to resort to magician tricks here, while this market is slapping us around. Schemo says he's still waiting on fireworks, guys. Okay, here it is. I'll give you a cat first. Okay, you ready for the Schemo? You ready, bro? Bang. Don't ask me how this happens. Don't ask me how it happens. I found that out by accident the other day and I can't stop doing it. It's ridiculous. Let's see. Big Wick says, Big Wick Energy. I love that. He says, hey Dylan, I know your bags are low. Sell me your beard. Guys, I don't think I can sell this beard. It's going to be very expensive. Maybe if Link's at 8.8, I'll sell my beard. Okay, a @𝗚𝗡𝗙 update for you guys. Here we go. So 𝗚𝗡𝗙 was getting slapped today. You can see it's on the right-hand side of my watch list. Look at this. It's my worst performer today, minus 10% at the moment. It's got absolutely smashed. And now it's moving into a zone of interest that we can't ignore. Look at this. We've got a nice little trend here in play for 𝗚𝗚𝗡𝗙, and we've got horizontals and a 786. Is there going to be a little reaction here for 𝗚𝗚𝗡𝗙? 25.4. Watch this area here. This could be a nice little move after a 10% dump. I mean, look at this vertical candle. I mean, it's disgusting what's going on here. So that could offer a little bounce here on 𝗚𝗚𝗡𝗙. Look for this move up. But again, be disciplined. Have control of yourself. Have control of the buttons, because we might be pushing into something along these lines where we've got resistance for 𝗚𝗚𝗡𝗙 at 29.9. So you don't want to get too excited until we start blowing through major horizontals. So let's rather pop through that area before we get turbo excited with 𝗚𝗚𝗡𝗙. But very notable here, anything down to 25 for me for 𝗚𝗚𝗡𝗙. This looks interesting. Okay, 786 horizontal in play. We've got a trend as well for you guys. So look out here. 26 down to about 25.5 all look pretty decent. Anna really wants some near. Okay, Anna, let's go. Let's near this thing. Let's see what's happening. Okay, let's see where we are with near. Let's just wipe this thing. Okay, what have we got here? So near's actually performed very well. You will note that Bitcoin's printed new lows from that dump that we had on 13th of April. Okay, and a lot of these altcoins are sitting with higher lows. Okay, so that is interesting. They have really outperformed a lot lately. So nice little note there on some of these alts. Okay, so near, what's going on? Near's broken out of a trend, lost the trend, so looking a little bit bearish again. But to its credit, and it's performed a little bit better than some of the other alts. So let's see where our nice horizontals are, where's our good levels, and let's just try and structure something here for you. And okay, so we're sitting in the middle. We're sitting on a 0.5. Okay, so that is quite interesting. And let's just mark this one out here. Okay, so we've got a 0.5 here for you guys. Okay, there's our 0.5. And you can see that it's sitting nice and snug on that 0.5. So sometimes you get a reaction on this 0.5. So that's something you can also use as a tool. And you can see it's tied in nicely with horizontals as well. So a nice little guide. It gives you a little bit of confluence. So what would I do for near? Well, number one, I'd say watch the support zone very closely. Okay, this looks like a potential bounce area for near. We've got an 8-hour stock reset. We've got the 4-hour pushing up. We've got the 12-hour reset. And let's see, the daily is still coming down, so it might need a little bit more time here, but this is a potential reaction zone for near that you want to watch. And then our 618 doesn't have much support there. It's kind of just floating around no man's land a little bit there. So okay, what would I do for near? I'd watch this closely. 5.8, watch that area closely. If you lose that 5.8, then you want to look at your next cluster, your next big zone, 5.15. So 5.8. Okay, 5.15. Watch these two areas here. If you do start moving up, make sure you TP. Make sure you are aware the 50-day MA is right here in front of you. 6.7. That could hurt. Okay, so if it pushes up into the 50-day MA, look out for a reaction there. Look out for something in that region. That is where you're going to TP. And lower down, potential bounce for you. 5.18, 5.2 potential bounce there for you. Wally says render looks good. Let's see if I've got render. I've got ONDO. I wanted to show you guys ONDO. Now today I sent out quite a long tweet. I wrote a thread today on my Twitter at the Lord of Entry, and I just thought it's topical that I was talking about RWAs, and ONDO is obviously one of them. And you know, it's one of the first that I want to be buying on any weakness and things like that. And I often look to it when we do have some kind of downside. So ONDO for me, I've just mapped out a bull case here on ONDO that I'm watching. So right now it's actually lost the existing range. You can see I've highlighted it with these yellow dots. This was the range low I was watching. So right now ONDO is actually sitting at resistance. Okay, how do I plan this? What is my move? Well, support I'm watching for ONDO 0.69. Okay, that's a big level that we need to pay attention to. You can see that pinged it 1, 2, 3, 4 times on the 8-hour candle. So we know it's forming a nice little support band here for us. So watch 0.69. When do you turn bullish on ONDO? Well, it needs to break back into this range. It needs to break back through this trend as well, so that we can say, okay, we've reclaimed a range. It was a little fake out potentially, and things are now turning bullish. So that is the bull case for ONDO. So let it break up here. Once you've confirmed support, 0.73, then you can start saying, okay, maybe now ONDO is going to push to this range high at 0.84. You saw the same with AVAX. Also, similar look to it that you want to pay attention to. If not, this thing is going to be rejecting with the rest of the market. And I would say, look out for the 50-day MA at 0.767. Look out for that rejection there. That could be the one. If we get some kind of fake pump here, look out for that rejection. Glenn says, ONDO looking bipolar. It is. It is looking a little bit bipolar, isn't it? Okay. Let's see. Okay, let's go. Guys, we're running out of time. Wow. Okay, ICP, another topical one, and just some good areas for you. You can see there's a classic downtrend here in play. No changes. It's the same across the board with a lot of these altcoins. So whatever you're trading, whatever your alts that you're trading, it's the same principle floating around right now. You're looking at big areas, but look at this. The 200-day MA coming into play for another altcoin, okay? How many times have we seen this today? This 200-day MA is staring us in the face. It's basically telling us they want these alts to come to it. So watch this 200-day MA closely. This is a nice juicy zone for me for ICP. Anything down to 11, you can see we've got horizontals in play here. We've got some old fib action as well. We've got the 200-day MA, potential long there for me for ICP. What happens if it doesn't get down to that region? What happens if it pumps? Well, be patient. Let it break trend. Once you've got support in this region, then you can start looking at a more bullish setup and play that trend break and things like that. But right now, exercise caution. You at a trend, you at resistance, a little bit lower down. Look for that little bounce play there. Could get something. And Buy Crypto says, thanks to the bears, time to go up to 86K. I mean, that's pretty bullish. That's pretty bullish. Okay, guys, I'll see you on the live FOMC. Uncle Run is going to be there on the main channel. We'll see you in about an hour and a half. So a lot of action tonight. Watch your levels closely. Pay attention to what he's saying. Pay attention to what is going on. And remember, we're looking to take profits on big bounces and any more flush outs, any more dips. Those 200-day MAs, they're starting to come into the picture all over the place. And that could be a sign that they are basically acting like magnets for some of these altcoins. So just watch that closely. Big day today. And look, tomorrow's a new day. Let's see. Maybe we wake up and things are green. See you later.